What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming into another episode of the Slightly More podcast.
What is up? As you could probably tell, my throat is a little not. It's not so good today. So I'm drinking some green tea with some honey.
It's also good for you too. People say that when I like it when people have colds on podcasts because they always sound
This is my
more influential,
Yeah.
So
right.
The one with the cold, that's Shane Patrick Cruz. I'm Chris Michael. Today we're talking about customer service and quality. I'm leaning a little bit more on the customer service side because I know a lot of magicians have never had a real job. A lot of them have, but haven't really had to deal with customers or people or customer service. So we'll give you not even tips that are just customer service based in general, but specifically for magicians and entertainers, how to provide good quality and good customer service.
What do you mean by good quality?
So I think because, for instance, just to skip ahead a little bit, we're going to talk about cleanliness of your props and things like that people have already hit you over the head a million times about.
Right.
But I think it's worth mentioning in this in case it's the only place you're consuming this material. That's still customer service, and nice.
Right.
Like when my car was delivered, it showed up all dirty with snow and salt and didn't look very good. It was a nice product.
Yeah.
Really horrible presentation.
Yeah.
Wasn't clean, and so that to me in my head,
And the guy was like, "All right."
Yeah, he dropped it off on the wrong way of a one-way. It was
Yeah.
He dropped it off facing traffic on a one-way.
Yeah, and it's also really didn't say anything. He's like, "All right, here you go."
And I was like, "How do I turn it around?" He goes,
"What?
I think you just wait for traffic to stop."
Yeah. What the heck?
So that's what I mean when I say quality, because I think not only the quality of your props and your show, which we're not going to get into too much, but just the quality of service that you provide for people is really important.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about would be, I think before you even book a show and you're just talking to somebody on the phone about a potential lead, they've either contacted you or you've contacted them, I think more than ever it's important that we're quick with our response. Because, for instance, a lot of magicians nowadays, we're almost relying, if you're not dumping a ton of money into Google Ads or marketing or SEO, you're probably relying on third-party sites like Bark.com, Thumbtack, Gigmasters, Gig Salad.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few others. I don't remember what the one in Australia is called. But
Gigio? Is it Gigio?
Gigio's, yeah. Is that the one?
Or is that a CRM system?
Gigio's a CRM, I think.
That's it, yeah.
But no matter what third-party site that you're using... Oh, actually, it's not Gigmaster anymore. It's The Bash.
The Bash, yeah.
Which I think that... I don't know.
That's a horrible name.
I also don't think that's doing very well for them, because I've not done very much.
It's like just bashing other people. Like that's...
The Bash.
I don't understand the meaning behind the new name.
I don't know either, but they put me on their story, their Instagram story the other day, and they said, "Happy, 3-year anniversary."
Really?
It's kind of nice. I think they do that for me.
Yeah.
Which, in my head, makes me think that they're not that big of a business, but I appreciate their attentiveness. And that's good customer service.
There you go. That's good. Well, yeah.
It is, yeah. So being quick with your response is incredibly important, not only in your ability to book a show, but also in service. I think a lot of people are worried about coming across as desperate, but just, I think it was yesterday, when was Monday? No, on Monday. So that's 2 days ago. I called somebody right as a response came in. They left their phone number. I called them right away. And I remember being with a magician one time, a request came in, and he goes, "I'm going to give it a few minutes so it doesn't seem like I got nothing going on." Never been my style. I pick up the phone and call right away, and they always go, "Oh my gosh, I'm so shocked that you called me so quickly. Thank you."
Yeah.
And then they're excited. It shows that you're excited to work with them. You're interested. One thing I'll say I have going for me is a lot of reviews, picture. It looks like I'm super busy. So when I call them, they're surprised. If you don't look like you're busy, just sound like it. Take the phone call and maybe mention to them like, "Hey, I was just, going through some of my emails that needed my attention. I saw your email come in. I thought while I had a moment, I'd give you a call."
Yeah. Definitely a positioning statement is something good. Or be like, "Hey, I'm just on the way to a show."
Yeah, that's a good one too. And
on the way to a show, yeah.
Yeah, and so what's important about this is that you're responding to a lot of the time when somebody's, and this is why it's so important, when somebody's looking for an entertainer, okay, when they're filling out the form on the third-party site, when they're sending emails or making phone calls, that's when it's a priority for them, right? They don't want to wait. They want to get their answer now. They want to know how much it will cost. And I'm just saying, for instance, I recently looked into carpet cleaners. I wanted to know how much it would cost me and what a carpet cleaner would need for me if they need me to move my furniture. I wanted to know when they would be available.
Yeah.
Now, I actually never even hired any carpet cleaners because everyone wanted me to fill out a thing for a quote and didn't get back to me for like a day. Okay? So I did not even end up hiring one. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to skip out on it altogether. Because
But let's just be honest here. So that's opposite from what you typically do in your business. Because someone calls, they say, "Oh, we're interested," and you say, "Great, can you go on my website and fill out the form?" And
yeah, so it wasn't...
why do you do that then?
Well, here's the thing. They didn't give me any information about, like, I usually try to supply people with information quickly. So they fill out the form on my website, and just to quickly be able to get on the phone to get them the information they need. So...
Well, no, I mean, yeah, you get all the information up front on the phone call.
Oh, yeah,
My view on it is, this is, I guess, partly a side note, but it's going to be a little bit of a side note. You get them on the phone, you get the lead, you get them on the phone, you get all of the information about their event, and then you end the phone call saying, "Fantastic. Next thing we need you to do is just, if you could go on my website, there's a contact form on there. If you could just fill out the same thing, that's on there, just give some details." To me, in my mind, this is something I I did at another business before, but it's a compliance thing, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So for the client to actually take the time, so you've called them on the phone, you've gotten information on the phone, and then for them to then hang up and actually take the time to go and fill out your contact form and send you that is compliance on their end. It's a sales tactic, really.
Right, it is.
They're agreeing to one more thing in order to book they're taking one more step in order to book you. But the customer service behind that is, don't just immediately tell them to go there, right?
Yeah.
That's horrible customer service. Don't do that.
The other thing is this, like, I try to draw on my experiences of times I've needed to hire people or services before to inform what I do in my business. I know that I know that I'm a little bit of an outlier, and if you haven't studied disc profiling, I'm not going into it here, or different types of personalities and how people make buying decisions. There are four, even if you're not using disc profile, most people say there's 4 types of buying styles.
Right.
And I would argue that no matter what buying style you are, you still want information quickly. That's just a product of our culture. So, I for instance, I got a dent in my car. I got a door ding in my car door, and I just got my car like coated. I got it looking nice, and I was like, you know what? I want to get this out now. I called people and got a voicemail. Nobody called me back. Okay. Then I went out online and started looking places. Found a phone number. I did call somebody, and they said, "Hey, we're with a client right now. We'll give you a call back soon." Okay, no worries. Well, one guy called me back like very shortly after I left him a voicemail. I was like, "Hey, Chris, sorry, I was just giving my time and attention to another client, just like I'd give you if you were one of my clients. Like, I was just want to take some time to figure out what you're doing. I don't have too terribly long here because I am with the client still, but we're taking a quick break here." And I was able to ask my questions, get information from him. He didn't really push anything on me. He did not give me a price. Okay, that's important. He didn't give me a price. He just talked to me about what he was going to do, and he said, "Hey, well, here's the thing." He's like, a lot of the guys who do it same day, they're not really able to look up the information about the car, find out where the bracing might be. He's like, this is one of those things where it appears to be simple but can cause a lot of problems.
Right.
So I was like, okay. He's like, "So I gotta tell you what though, as soon as I'm finished with this client, I'll come to you right after this. I'll drive to you to take a look at it, just so I can figure out if it's something I'd be willing to do, and then we can get a cost on it." And I said, "Great, I didn't even look up anybody else," okay?
Wow. Because he went above and beyond. It's the same as when you're on the phone with a client going, well, when they go, "How much is price?" Well, okay, so let's hear about your event.
Exactly.
What you got going on. Explain to me what you have, right?
And I know not to ask price. But yet I just, it's so natural for you to say, "Hey, I just wanted to," so I fought it. And I said, could you give me, I was like, "Could you give me a little bit of information about, just about how this works?" And honestly, like, not that it's, and I felt bad saying, not that it's a priority, but pricing, because I didn't want to upcharge me thinking, oh, he could pay whatever.
Yeah.
But he was honest with me, and when we did get to price, it was really good fee. He actually put on a few add-ons. He said, "Hey, you got these 2 other dents. I'm already going to be in there messing with it. I popped the other 2 out for $20 extra. I was like, what? Yeah. So not only was he quick, he over-delivered. He took the time to educate me, which is super important. And so another thing that happened, the carpet cleaning thing. If people would have been able to give me information or hop on the phone, or if I filled out a form and they were able to call me right then and there, and call me quickly to give me information, I would have been committed to them. Keep in mind, you want to reward your clients for committing to even filling out a form or giving you a call. Do you know how many different websites they probably clicked the back button on before they went to yours and decided to give you a call? Like, there's, again, and I mentioned this in the sales video we made, people are looking for reasons to eliminate options. They're not looking to commit to anything, they're just looking to eliminate options. And that's exactly what I was doing when doing carpet cleaning. There were certain people who were charging so little that I was like, well, is the quality good? There were some people who were like, they had prices listed on their website, but there was no information about what they were going to do and how they were different. I was like, I'm so intimidated by this decision, I just decided to not even approach it altogether. So I think the important thing is not only being quick in your responsiveness, but being willing to help people get the information they need to educate them, which was the traditional goal of marketing back in the day, was to educate people. Because you would have to approach people that didn't even know they were having a problem yet, right? Nowadays, people decide what their problem is, put a value on it, and then try to fix it without having any information. It's pretty intimidating.
Yeah. And I think the quality side of like phone calls like that and educating the client and getting information and providing value, the quality is in the way that you come across to the client, right?
Yeah.
So if it would be a completely different outcome, I think, if you got on the phone and were like, all right, so what's up? Like, tell me about your event.
Yeah. And
instead of being like, all right, cool. Like, okay, what day is it on? Okay, fantastic. Oh, do you have a buffet? Like, do you have any other kind of entertainers there? Are you having a DJ? Like, how's your buffet set up? How's your room set up?
As one of my mentors,
that's quality, right?
Yeah, one of my mentors says, you get a gig by being the most curious person in the room. He goes, that's how you make sales. You're the most curious person. And I think that implies interest. It implies that willingness. It implies people want to work with people who are hardworking. Like, they don't want to work with somebody who's just going to show up, get the job done, and leave. Which I failed to mention that before I even called people, the reason I was calling people was I took it to the place I knew does paintless dent repair. Like, I don't even need to look online. Again, word of mouth is more powerful, right? So I knew this place did it. I took it there, and the guy, he looks at it, and he just didn't seem to care. He wasn't excited to help me. Like, he just was... I think his approach was to be confident and show that he was capable. So he just goes... He looks at it, he goes, yeah, that's about a $90 debt. He goes, can't get to it in the rain, though. You have to bring it back next week. I was like, okay.
Wow.
I was like, can I, like, what if it stops raining today? He goes, I got other clients today, man. Sorry. He goes, just go inside and they'll schedule you for next week. So, like, he wasn't excited about it, and I know...
He didn't even care.
And I think that's how a lot of magicians do stuff. It's like, that not caringness doesn't make you more valuable. Whereas, I'm going to give him a shout-out. I think it's Mark Johnson with Dominion Dent in Richmond, Virginia. He was excited about it. I got him on the phone, and he was honest with me, too, which... I'm always a person that thinks that being genuine sells. Like, he got on the phone with me and he said, hey, listen, to be honest with you, he's like, normally I got about 5 cars I do a day. He goes, and I can really take up my full day. He goes, it's raining. That really killed my business. And he goes, and it's going to rain all week. So, I'd love to have the potential to work with you. At least I would fill up my calendar, give me something to do. I was like, all right, man, win-win for you, win-win for me,
Yeah.
He was honest about not doing a lot of business that day, and it makes sense. You can't fix dents in the rain. Not only did he tell me he couldn't do it in the rain, but he would just be willing to look at it. After he looked at it, he goes, hey man, I'm already out here. Why don't you just pull it into the parking garage over there? He's like, we can cover the cost of whatever it costs for you to park it there. He goes, this way we can just wait, you can get some cover. If the lighting's good, we'll just pop it out in the garage. That's what he did. He looked at it.
What?
We drove it to the garage. He popped it out in the garage. It actually caused a lot of problems for him. It was a really difficult dent to get out. So he was there for a long time. I even offered to tip him, and he goes, hey man, he's like, listen, while tip is awesome, what helps me even better is a 5-star Google review. He's like, I really want to make sure I can help you out today so I can get the word spread about me. I was like, no worries.
Yeah.
And now he's fixing my buddy's dent, because I called my buddy after that one. Hey man, you got a dent in your car? He's like, yeah, but that big one on the hood, remember? I was like, yeah, I know. I got a guy for you. And now he's working with him.
Nice.
So again,
going above and beyond.
Yeah, customer service will not only make you more desirable and book a show better, it'll also give you more referrals and all that good stuff. So we've talked about why it's important. So we've talked about promptness, and I think that we talked about tone and excitement. For instance, if you've ever had to call tech support and they just don't seem to care, it's always really hard to talk to them. If you talk to somebody who cares and is excited to help you, like GoDaddy is really like that a lot. GoDaddy, I think, has the best customer service I've ever experienced.
Really?
And I don't even know if it's because they're good at their job, because I think sometimes I've left not having solved what I wanted to solve, but because they genuinely feel like they care.
Yeah.
So those two things alone, I think, can go miles. I'm going to add some more things, but I want to know if you had anything to add on the caring piece.
Yeah, keep going, yeah.
Okay. The other thing is, so we're in the sales process. You talk to them, you're excited, you give them a prompt answer. I think that don't be afraid to answer their questions and be honest with them, because I know that a lot of us don't want to talk price on the phone. A lot of us. Okay, let me rephrase it to start over and say this. You need to take charge of the conversation, but that doesn't mean that you're being too dominant or too intimidating or you're providing bad service. It's important for you to not let the client lead the conversation, because by answering questions, you're actually not doing them a service. By them saying, "Are you available?" and you say, "Yes, I'm available." What kind of tricks do you do? And you tell them, "What tricks do you do?" How much do you charge? And you tell them how much you charge. I almost feel that's working backwards in customer service. Yes, you're providing what they ask, but you're not going above and beyond for them. You're not guiding them to have the best experience. It's up to you as the expert to guide the experience for them. So that's why you should take charge and ask them questions, and that's a great chance for you to show your value. Okay?
Yeah.
With booking, same thing. Promptness with the contract. Make sure the contract is clear. And before you even do this, tell them what the process is going to be. I always let them know, hey, now that you want to move forward, I'm going to send you an email. You'll get it within the next few minutes. It'll have a link for you to sign an agreement online. You're going to click on the bottom to sign, and then you're going to pay online for a deposit. The deposit can be paid online with a credit card. If you're more comfortable with cash or check, just shoot me an email and we can take care of that. And I say, does this make sense to you? Yes, this makes sense. Awesome. Let's go ahead and move forward. Just be on the lookout for my email. I'll talk to you later. Great. And so I've given them a chance to ask questions. I've spelled out the process for them so it's simple, because, again, to be full disclosure here, I've went through process with services where I've committed on the phone. I was excited about it, and then I didn't really know what the next step was. It kind of got lost translation, and then I've talked myself out of it before I've been able to really sign off on the deal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Clarity is super duper important.
Yeah.
The next thing that you want to focus on is just making sure that you're living up to everything you say you're going to do. There's a lot of magicians out there who promise to do all these things and then never live up to it, right? So if you're going to promise something, do it. You know, if you, for instance, I know that sometimes people say like, yeah, I'll be there an hour early, and then they're there, 20 minutes early, which happens to us sometimes. You can't always avoid it. But trying your very hardest to own up to everything you say. If you say it's going to be the best experience they've ever had, work to make it the best experience they've ever had. Another thing that I think magicians forget is reaching out to clients consistently. Mm-hmm. You've booked the gig and you just forget about them until the day of the show.
Yeah.
I try to follow up with them at least once or twice in between. If it's really far out there, I'll check in at least once a month.
Excuse me.
As we get closer, I always give them a call the day before to let them know we're still on and what time I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Just keeping consistent. They're like I wouldn't be offended at all if I hired somebody to play music at my house for my friends when we threw like a little house party thing, and he was following up with me consistently. In fact, that would make me feel good, right? So keep that.
Makes him seem like he's excited and he cares, or he or she.
Yeah, and then also that I'm still on his radar. There's a group I'm working for. It's a marble and quartz company, and even though I've already really taken care of everything I need to take care of, they're spending a lot of capital on this. They're spending a lot of time and energy on this. So even though I don't need anything, I still make sure to go to update them on the process. I'll let them know, hey, I just ordered the custom deck of cards. Hey, do you like this poker chip design? I'm going to go ahead and order these. Hey, had a really exciting... That's something you can do. If you're going to just do the same show all the time, you can let them know, hey, I have a really exciting idea for you. Would you mind sending me the name of a person that will be there that would be a really awesome volunteer? Mm. And now you're just getting them even more excited as you're leading up to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So let's transition into how do you provide customer service and quality at the show?
Yeah, so you've booked all the things, you've kept up with them up until the show, and you're arriving. One thing is timeliness, okay? My rule of thumb is this, and feel free to use this. Even for birthday parties, I get there an hour before the party starts. The reason why is I want my show to be set up by the time the guests are there so I can get control when they're walking the door. If they're already there and then I show up while they're already there, guess who's the outsider? Me. If I'm there before the guests get there, they're the outsider in my space.
Yeah.
You can get around this if you set up in a different space from where you're going to do the show and you get there. For instance, even in corporate events, okay, this applies. If you're doing a corporate event and there's like a bunch of meetings and then they clear out of the room for coffee and snacks to have like a brain break, and then you go into the room, if they can see you get into the room to set it up, that's a losing battle. There's something about seeing setup happen that makes it seem not as concrete. I don't know. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a completely different feel, right?
Yeah.
So, for instance, a corporate event I did in Roanoke at a hotel, they had a big dinner that evening. And so I went in. The dinner wasn't until 7. They didn't get there until 6. I went in at 2 o'clock and set up everything because we were doing a big stage thing, but and a big illusion. But it's a completely different feel when they walk into the room and I'm already dressed. I'm ready to go, and I'm literally just standing by the stage waiting for them to call me on, because at that point, I mean, I look like the professional.
Right. Yeah.
Bringing in gear. I want to talk about this stuff because it ties into customer service, and it helps you look professional in a situation where you have to be seen when you come in. The same thing when you take charge over the phone. You should be taking charge at the gig when you get there, right? Because you can kind of circumvent the perception of them seeing you and what that might portray by immediately coming off as the being seen as the pro in that situation.
You know what I do,
and
actually?
Taking charge.
It's very similar to what you just said. Sometimes I show up wearing clothes like this. Obviously, I'm not going to perform in this,
right.
And I don't want them to think when I get there that I'm going to change. I don't even let them think that for a second. So I'll call them on the phone before I get there and say, "Hey, we're arriving. Just so you know, I'm going to get there, set the show, and then I'm hoping to change so that I, give enough time for me to change." So before they even see me, they have it in their head, an image of me not being all the way dressed up.
Yeah.
We don't want anything to be unexpected.
And you should always talk about over the phone the location that you're going to be setting up in.
Yeah.
Right? So once again, it's customer service saying, "Hey, listen, I'm here to provide value for you. And the way that I'm doing that currently is to make sure that you look the best." And without saying it, makes us look the best by saying, "Hey, listen, okay, say if it's a birthday party. Hey, listen, are the kids upstairs? Do you have a downstairs area that we can be in? Great, let's set up down there."
Shane, we saw this in real time recently.
Yeah,
in fact,
that's kind of what I was thinking about.
Yeah, we were told we were going to set up in the basement where all the kids and family were not located. Now, we were told there were going to be 7 people. There was easily, 50?
50.
Yeah, easily. So we go to set up. Actually, side story about this. They're like telling us they're going to leave the driveway.
So terrible.
They're telling us they're going to leave the driveway open for us. We pull up and there's a car parked blocking the driveway entrance, horizontally. And I lean out the window and
there's a lady getting out of the car. Literally opening her car door to get out.
Yeah, and I lean over. I'm just thinking, why is she blocking the driveway?
Yeah.
So I lean over. I'm like, "Hey, do you mind if we pull up to? I gotta unload some stuff, and we're a little bit in a hurry. Do you mind if I just pull up to unload it?" She goes, "Yeah, I'll only be a second." She starts pulling wheelchair parts out of the car, and the passenger needs to be put in a wheelchair.
Oh God, the worst situation ever. Just a second off from realizing.
Okay, super tip that helped me in everything in my life. If something's awkward or there's resistance, acknowledge it. Don't let it. Don't just acknowledge it. And I did acknowledge it to her when I was walking up to it. I was like, I wanted you to know. I was like, I thought you were just blocking the driveway. When I saw you pull out the wheelchair, I went, "I'll just wait." She goes, "Yeah, no worries about it." Yeah. So because of the wheelchair, we couldn't go downstairs because we wanted everybody to be able to see the show. We didn't want to leave one person out.
Right.
What are we going to do? Make them carry them down the stairs? So they were like, "Do you mind doing it upstairs?" We get upstairs and all the people are literally surrounding the space that we're performing. There's no room for us to set up. And it could have came across as one way. I could have been like, "Hey, well, we're setting up down. I need you to move everybody downstairs. This is not going to work for us, right? We need to move."
But we did ask for the kids to be moved downstairs.
But what we did do instead, we didn't say, "We need you to move everybody downstairs." What we did say was, "Hey, we want to make sure that there's a surprise factor when people see the show, and we do want it to feel super comfortable for us to set up to make sure everything's good, that nothing's I pretty much told her hey, in order for me to set up the best and make sure we're not ruining any surprises, do you mind just moving everybody downstairs until we get it set? We'll get it set up super quickly." And she cleared that room out.
So this goes, I want to mention this because there were some people that stayed upstairs, right, in the living room where we were setting up.
It was a small number, though.
A small number, but still, I'm saying this for a specific point, which is it goes back to quality of your show, which I think we'll talk about here in a little bit, just the quality of your props and everything that's set up. So when Chris starts setting up this 8x8 step and repeat and 2 vinyl banners that flank both sides of that, and the case and the speaker system, any perception that this guy is a hack, right, is instantly gone because the quality of the props on stage look incredible. So they go, "Wow, this is legit."
You always hear that when I bring out the banner. Wow.
Yeah, so it instantly. So that's why it's important to have great visuals on stage, both in the backdrops and in your props. And why you should at least have one kind of backdrop. You don't need a big, huge 8x8 step and repeat, but it would be nice if you spent a couple $100 on a vinyl.
I'm about to sneeze.
Vinyl
Apologize.
banner.
I always have another one. Ooh, always two. Yeah, Shane makes a really good point, and I think that there's something about working a little bit harder that makes you a lot better. I think that just being willing to take that extra trip to your car to grab some sort of backdrop or signage really goes a long way. I think a lot of magicians are focused on the ease of setup, right? They want it to be simple and not really inconvenience them. But I promise you, inconveniencing yourself for the sake of the show is, I mean, worth it. It's worth spending the money on a banner. And in fact, I've gotten so far to where I used to have two part-time employees that I was paying to take care of the customer service side of things, because when I was really busy doing shows over the summer, I couldn't get back to people in a timely manner. Also, people were falling through the cracks. Even if I was trying to, I just was forgetting people and my mind was so jumbled. So I literally went out of my way to pay two full-time. I lost a lot of money, but I realized that over time, the word of mouth that's going to spread for my quality of service and the way that these clients were confident in me to be able to rebook me, I needed that.
Yeah.
So even now, I have a full-time assistant who is like legitimately full-time now. And pretty much that's what most of her job is making sure that people on the day-to-day we're reaching out to them. We're making touch points, we're checking in. I want to talk about a couple things still about the show side of it, customer service during your show. And then I also want to talk about problem solving with customer service, because here's a really easy way. We usually think about customer service when we have to solve a problem. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, but I'll get to that in a second. With the show side, and Shane's seen me do this before too, and you've mentioned doing it before at your show, is bringing things up that may be a potential problem. Like, I'll mention to them, for instance, when I use the 50 Shades of Grey book, I always go to the person who books me, and I'll say, hey, I've got this book, 50 Shades of Grey, I'm going to use in the show. I wanted to ask you... No, actually, I don't ever start with that. No. I always say, hey, I've got two versions of a trick that I can do in the show. One is totally safe and totally clean. In fact, they're both totally safe and totally clean, but one of them implies something that's never really said. One of them, I'm going to use the book 50 Shades of Grey. And the fact that I'm using the book is the joke, not anything within the book.
Right.
And they always... Sometimes they'll say, ooh, well, what's the other book? And I know right away, I go, just figured I'd ask. If they say, oh yeah, this group is fine with it, I'll be like, okay, yeah. And it alludes to something that may be within the book, but it doesn't actually get explicitly said. And it honestly, even if there were kids in the room, it would fly over their head. And they're like, okay, yeah. So you just gotta let them know what it is beforehand, because you don't want no surprises, right? Everybody should be knowing what to expect. The only surprise that they should receive is a positive one. Now, the other thing is, when Shane was talking about everything coming from a place of service, for instance, moving the chairs closer to the stage. A lot of time, there's a big dance floor, and you never want to say, can you do this for me? It always should be doing it for the client. For instance, I want you to be able to get the most bang for your buck and get the most out of the show. I want the boss that you had to go to and say, hey, we should really hire this guy, to feel you made the right choice.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, I ask you to bring the chairs up so we can get people engaged and interacting. Otherwise, they're going to just be far enough away to where they feel like they're not part of it and have side conversations. So I'm doing it for them. Same thing with the hotel. Hey, I want to make sure I can get there. I want to make sure I'm there for plenty of time after the event to clean things up properly and make sure I'm leaving the place as perfect as you left it for me, so that the venue doesn't have to charge you guys. Is it okay if you just provide somewhere for me to stay that night so I can really make sure I do a good job breaking everything down? No, yeah, sure. So it's a service for them.
Right.
So,
and then once you're there, asking like, hey, is there anything we can do for you?
Yeah, we do that all the time.
Yeah. People are always like, no, we're good, but they're always with a way of saying it like, wow, like no one's ever none of the vendors have ever asked us, is there something that we can do for them, or it's something they can do for us. But,
complimenting too, and don't compliment if it's not sincere. Find something you like about the event and compliment it. I always think like decorations are easy, and always compliment something that they were in control of. Yeah, that's something that I think really goes a long way. And then on top of that, you talked about asking if they need anything. Oh, this is contrary to what most people think. When they ask you if you need anything, if the whole time you're like, no, I'm good. No, there's nothing. No, I'm taking care of it. It feels a little bit to the client like there should be something to make this happen, especially before the show. Like if you haven't even arrived yet, or like you're in the process of booking, and they're like, you've signed a contract, you got a deposit, and they call you and they're like, hey Chris, the show's a week out, we just want to figure out what we need to do to get all set. And if you say, oh, nothing, I'll take care of it, it's almost like, is this show gonna be like is he putting any time or thought
Yeah,
into
because
this?
literally no professional performer does that.
Right.
Right? And the ones at the high end have a rider, what's called a rider, which is a list of requirements before they even get to the performance venue, right? So walking in, bare minimum, ask for water, right? Ask for something, right?
I had to teach my sister that. My sister used to paint. Wait, what is it?
Face paint.
Yeah, my sister used to face paint for me, and we would always show up, and I would always be asking for anything. They'd be like, "Well, what do you like? Do you need anything? A table, a chair?" She goes, "No." And they would just be like, "Are you sure?" She's like, "No." "Can I get you anything to drink?" "No." So I told her, I was like, when they ask you for anything, just ask for a water, because it seems like, oh, of course he needs a water. Like,
yeah.
Honestly, it's funny the way that people almost get worried when they didn't offer you water. Like, they're like, oh yeah, sorry, of course.
It makes you look more professional.
It does.
Like a comedian that walks on stage and goes, "I need 2 bottles of water on the chair when I get on stage." They never go, "God, what a jerk!" Like, they go, "Oh, okay." Like,
and be polite about it. Would you mind if it's not too much trouble to just place 2 bottles of water on the stool before I come in?
They go, "Yeah, sure, yeah." Absolutely.
I've done things as silly as like asking for a Red Bull before. Like actually when I went to West Virginia, the guy's like, "Hey man, I'm at the store and then grab for you." I said, "Yeah." I said, "You know what? I misplace a lot, and I'm honestly not sure if I have them. It'd be great if you had it. Could you get a supersized Sharpie?" Also, I didn't stop at all during the 6-hour trip, so a sugar-free Red Bull, 12 ounces, would be awesome. I was like, if you want, I'm happy to give you cash for it.
Yeah.
And he didn't even ask for any money. Yeah.
And I asked for green M&Ms with the M rubbed off.
Can you lick it off? 3 licks?
Yeah.
If it doesn't
kidding. I don't do that.
If it doesn't come off in 3 licks, throw it away. It's not a good one.
It would actually be Reese's Pieces.
Oh, yeah, I love those.
With all the colors separated.
So now, handling problems. I hate to admit that this happens, but there's times where I'm double booked, or I've overlooked something, or I can't make it to a gig. I've actually never been able to not make it to a gig. Actually, that's not true.
That's not true.
We have an episode about it. The first time and only time I've ever not been able to make it to a gig, I got a giant nail in my tire. The gig was 2 hours away. We were cutting it close anyway, and
it was on a Sunday when all the tire places were closed. It was terrible.
So I made it seem like I was coming from a place of service by canceling on them. I had to tell them, like, obviously I'm not going to just cancel and leave them hanging. I found another performer for them.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing though. People did their research. They got excited. You educated them. You were the best one. Like, if this dead guy was like, "Hey man, I can't come out, but I got somebody else coming," I'd be like, "Oh, like crap. Like that guy was good." Well, now I called them, and I think, shout out to the amazing Kevin. Don't know really what he's doing now, but he provided. That's why we hired him. He provided good customer service.
Yeah.
He got back to me quickly, which none of the other guys did.
Yeah, he was super excited about it. Yeah.
And he assured me it was going to be good, and he told me what was going to happen.
Yeah.
He told me,
And when you called the client, you told the client, "Hey, listen, I always, if I have to give away any shows, or if I can't make shows, this is the guy I reach out to. Like, he's really good. He's got a great show." It would have been the same thing if the dent guy had to refer someone else. So, like, if he had to refer someone else, he goes, "Listen, super sorry I couldn't come. Like, something came up and not able to come out. But when I need dents done that I can't get done, this is the guy I call. I trust him with everything. He's going to do just as great of a job as us, maybe even better.
Well, that's
and he's going to be coming out." Then you're like, "All right, cool." Like, yeah, because you've put so much trust and credibility in that one particular person. Now, when they refer someone else, you should feel the exact same way. But it's only because that person is providing the credibility and the value towards the other person, right? So makes sense? Yeah.
When I called the client, I had to cancel. I said, "Hey, but listen, I want to make this seem like a positive for you." I was like, "I found somebody who typically charges a little bit more than I do. And by the way, they're super busy and their calendar's typically full. I was just cashing in a favor with him and asked if he'd be willing to do this, and he said he would come out. He's a really top-notch performer, and I'm actually really honored, and maybe this is even a blessing in disguise that he's able to take care of your event." And they're like, "Oh yeah, nope." They had no problem with it, really, right?
Yeah.
And so actually, when I got my car coated, we had a leak in my lift gate, and the guy who was looking at it, who tried to fix it, couldn't fix it. he then refers me to this guy, Sam, and tells me how amazing Sam is. He's like, Sam is the man. And I actually met Sam today for the first time.
Oh, nice.
And I remember, first of all, Dan said, the guy who coded my car, said such good things about Sam. He's like, oh, Sam is the man. He's the best one around. If you got to take anybody, you should take it to him. Now, listen, they're busy, but if they can get you in there, I would do it. Well, I met Sam today, and let me tell you, he did not seem like, he seemed really young. He didn't really give me mechanic vibes. Not that he wasn't super formal, because he handled me well. But again, if I didn't get that referral, I would have maybe not assumed he was as professional as he was. But because I had that perception in my head, even though maybe his service wasn't as good as I was told it was, I really believed that it was top notch.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it wasn't, because it really, like, he hasn't really even worked on my car yet. But just the conversation I had with him, I'm just pretending, even if his service wasn't that good. If I got told that he was amazing. Like, for instance, if I got told these dent guys that I went to where he was like, that's a $90 dent, and I was told how good they were, I was like, man, that guy's good. I would have reinterpreted my view of it.
Yeah.
And even when, for instance, like, you have a double booking, the same thing can apply. I'm trying to think of what other things can go wrong. Let's say they didn't get a contract from you in time, and they said, hey, Chris, you reach out to them, you're like, hey, did you get my contract? They're like, oh, sorry, we didn't even see you send it. Must have went to our junk mail. We've booked somebody else. You can try to get the gig back. Sure, I've done that before, but it's better to just be like, hey, awesome, no worries at all. I'm sorry that really happened to you. Let me know what I can do if there's anything, or if there's anything I can do to make this better. Let me know. If you need any tips or planning for things that you could do while I'm not there before the entertainer comes, let me know. I want to still provide service to you wherever I can. Obviously, not looking for a fee, of course. I just want to make sure to take care of you.
Yeah.
Things like that. So,
yeah. Cool.
Any other customer service pieces?
Nope.
Clean props. Get a sign. So, yeah.
Yeah. And look professional. Don't come in there, even if you want to come in and close like this to set up, don't come in there in ratty clothes.
Actually,
still have quality in yourself, right?
Yeah, side note, this is actually a story I'm really glad to share with you guys. These are things that sit in the recesses of my mind, and I actually forget sometimes to tell you guys my forming and molding moments of my life. Something that changed the way I think about shows and what I wear to a show forever was Jester Jim, which is the one who taught me pretty much how to have a career in entertainment. It was nothing before I went on tour with him and managed his tour. I got to see so many things in action. And one thing he would do is he would show up in, I don't know, like, it was over the summer, so like maybe some sort of shorts and a hoodie. And then when he would get there, he would always say, hey, do you guys mind if is there somewhere where I can go change into what I'm going to wear for the show? Sure. And then when he changed, by the way, in his show, he wears sweatpants with an orange stripe, skating shoes, and I think an orange Jester Jim t-shirt. If he shows up and wears that, I've seen it firsthand, when he wears that, when he shows up, sometimes we're rushing from gig, he doesn't have a time to change after, the client will go, awesome, yeah, and you probably need to change before your show.
Ooh.
So he's like, oh, I'm wearing this. He actually dresses down for his show because he's juggling and jumping, and he can't do it in nice clothes. Plus, he has to switch. He sweats so much in his show that he has to bring 3 or 4 outfits with him. So sweatpants and an orange shirt are cheaper for him, or maybe they're not even cheaper for him. But that's his brand and what he wears.
Yeah.
So even though he's going to dress down, customer service wise, to not give a bad impression, he actually wears something a little nicer, nice running shoes, nice shorts, a nice hoodie. Shows up, meets them, and says, "Do you have somewhere I can change?" And then he dresses down. And now they get the idea that okay, this is a costume.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So. I think that's really all I want to share with you guys. I hope that this helps. Please share your thoughts on customer service. We don't. I know that we're acting like we're the leading people on this, but we don't really know it works. I do say that I will say I've been to 2 now conferences all about customer service, and then I worked for a university where we had to go. I went twice to that conference. That's actually it's pretty much a 6-week program every day in a classroom, almost 8 hours a day, learning how to take care of people. So I do think I know a little bit about this, but there's some tricks out there that we probably don't know that you can leave in the comments. I would love to start utilizing some of those.
Yeah. And that's it. Catch us on the next one. Next week now. Remember, these are 1 time a week now. Once a week, these podcasts. So we'll see you next week.